Last week, we caught up with a few friends to learn what it's like to run a business full-time. But over 25 million people in the United States have a part-time business. Lots of hardworking, devoted individuals. Some are doing this because they are not ready to do it full-time. And some do it this way because they love both their day job and part-time job as it is. One thing comes up for sure as I learn more about their journeys. Doing part-time business is a special joy and takes a special kind of diligence to balance two worlds. Welcome to Curious Monica. I'm your host, Monica Kang, founder and CEO of InnovatorsBox, and today we're diving into all about what it's like to have a business part-time.
If you're going to do something, then do it right? I don't even know how to spell mediocre, right? Anything that I do and anywhere that I am is because I want to be. And that's what I want to do. So if I truly want something, then I better show up how I need to show up.
Talking about like a science career, what it means to have a science career. And I think, there is the kind of traditional science career, which I guess would be, get a PhD, get a professorship. I don't know how much that is a traditional thing now, and then kind of live that life and teach classes or whatnot. That was always my vision for myself when I was growing up. And it wasn't actually until I was at Caltech trying to get my PhD and I wasn't really enjoying the experience personally and ended up deciding to do startups and stuff that I actually jumped off of that path.
What makes me afraid? And when I ask that question of myself, I'm like, man, when it comes to, you mentioned my music earlier, one of the things that made me afraid was actually owning the fact that I was a creative and that was something that some people knew about me, but it was not something that I actually talked about.
Hi, welcome to Curious Monica by InnovatorsBox, where we study how different people thrive at different jobs. I'm your host, Monica Kang. Today's conversation will resonate with even more listeners as more and more individuals are starting part-time businesses or entering a freelancing career. It's become easier to pursue your passion outside of your day job with work from home, and the hunger for wanting something more outside your day job has increased. So how do people do it? And why do they spend the effort and energy to work beyond their day job? While each of my three friends' stories may differ, you'll see key themes that you want to keep in mind no matter what side hustle you have. Lesson 1, have a clear vision on why you want to do it. Do you love both your day job and your side hustle? Yes, you can love both and want to stay in both.
Yeah. And I love that you said that because sometimes people, they just assume that you're just doing this job because, whatever, you need a job. And it's like, no, I actually like my day job. I love my team. We are super creative. All the authors that we get to work with, it's just my mind is blown. Every single time I'm like, oh my God, I read that book and I know this author and blah, blah, blah. I love what I do, but I also have a passion for entrepreneurship. And I think that there's this amazing new emergence of I don't actually have to choose. Why should people have to choose between what they like? When you think back, and I always like to break things down to way when we started kindergarten, right? When you think about going to elementary school, did you just take one class? No, you didn't take one class. You took multiple classes so that A, teachers could figure out what your strengths were, right? And then B, so that you could also figure out what is it that you're passionate about. The art class, math class, language arts, those are all different skill sets. Entrepreneurship and leading a corporate professional life are also different skill sets.
Meet Ashley Sutton in New York City. She just started her business in November 2019, right before the pandemic, out of her love for stationery and wanting to create greeting cards that gave practical resources by clicking a QR code embedded in the card. She is the founder at Hustle and Hope Greeting Cards, where she gets to bring people the joy of fun handwritten letters. But during the weekdays, she is a marketing director at the Penguin Random House who loves to make books that she works with come to life. Product marketing, branding, and storytelling is her gem. Prior to working in a publishing company, she led product marketing at Fisher-Price, Avon Cosmetics, and Levi Strauss & Co. Yes, did you notice? She moved from clothing to cosmetics to the toy industry and to publishing. Now, her business is in stationery. And as she just shared a moment ago, her love for both her day job and her part-time business fully is because of her interest for many things. Who says you have to love just one thing?
If you're going to do something, then do it right? I don't even know how to spell mediocre, right? Like anything that I do and anywhere that I am is because I want to be, and that's what I want to do. So if I truly want something, then I better show up how I need to show up. So that's the lens that I always take in terms of attitude. So that's like mindset. Let's set the stage that like first, you got to have the mindset. But the second thing is, yes, they are so different. Beauty, we've got toys, we've got licensing, entertainment, we've got publishing. But the one common thread is connecting with consumers, creating stories, crafting marketing messaging that is really going to help to sell a product. A book is a product, a brand at the end of the day, it's a product. And yes, there are different extensions, especially as you're looking into licensing. There's like soft lines, there's hard lines and all of those things. Beauty products, obviously, toy products, obviously, but you're not just selling in a specific like tangible product. You're also selling in your strategy to like your internal partners. You're selling in strategy to external partners like your retailers, like Target and Walmart. Shout out to Target, trying to get those cards into Target, y'all. Anyways, but like that's what you're selling. So at the end of the day, like at some point along the journey, like those are all the things that are like tying together that industry experience, in my opinion.
This is so key. While it may look like you are in multiple industries, Ashley shares with clarity how this is all connected to her strengths and also her passions. She loves what she does, which is why she is great at what she does. No wonder her colleagues, customers, and communities feel this. She recently won first prize at the Daring to Disrupt by Ally, a community that created this competition in support of female entrepreneurs. To be one of the top 3 winners out of 100 entries really validated Ashley's creativity and determination for all that she does. But as she shared, this does not mean she is looking to leave her day job. Because why not do both if you love both? I asked her how she manages her time. Doing one job well is already a lot of work. How do you make time for both?
So the fact that people are being made to choose, or the fact that people think that if you give great to one, then the other is going to fall down, the stairs, like I just think it's maniacal. And so I just want to start by saying that. So super passionate about both. And the ways in which I balance it is like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever, that is corporate work time. I do not like to try to mix things. Like that's it. Unless it's like some sort of crazy opportunity and it's an interview or something, then like I'm there. And then on the weekends, while most of my friends are out brunching and like having so much fun on Saturday and Sunday, some of those Saturdays and Sundays, I did have to sacrifice. I did have to lean into my discipline a little bit more because I knew that I was on to something. I knew that it was something that was special about this business. And I had to go hard for it because who else is going to go hard for it, right? But that's not to say that every weekend I'm just like out there, working away on my laptop. I mean, I'm going on vacations. I'm having fun. I'm going to dinner now that like the world is open back up. So yeah, I think it's really just about taking away the stigma of, having a business and working full time. I think it's about taking away, the stigma that like, oh, if you're great in one, then you can't be great at the other. It's like, no, actually I can. Sorry that you may not be able to, but I can. And then lastly, I think it's about balance, right? Like, do I actually believe in like true work-life balance? No, I believe that there's always going to be something that is going to creep into the other and something's going to creep in. And that's with anything. Even if you don't, let's say you don't have a business, like personal life can always creep into work life. Work life can always creep into personal life. So it's all about like making sure that you're making the time for those priorities when you got it.
I agree. In a way, letting go of what work-life balance means can help us balance our workflows and expectations more. It may look like certain weekends you were deep in your creative groove, while other weekends you were out and about, not worrying that you have a typo on your website and enjoying unplugging. And even if you are looking to go full-time one day, for some who are listening, I highly recommend starting your business part-time for as long as you can while learning everything you'd want in your business. I did InnovatorsBox part-time for 6 to 8 months before taking it full-time. While in my case, I realized I was ready to depart my day job, I do know a lot of friends like Ashley who shared they would love to continue doing both. This means then setting your goals that align for both your day job and part-time job to succeed. This art of balancing Ashley shares is what made this business different from her earlier startups, where she found herself quickly burning out and not wanting to go further. I asked her if she could share more. What did she do differently this time? She said, in short, pacing yourself and not wanting to get things done the next day was key.
I mean, I think the difference between this business and working, because I've always worked. Like I've never just been like, I'm going to take a year off. I never had that luxury because I didn't have any money. So, I've always worked and had built businesses. But the difference was that I was trying to do everything on a Monday and then turn around Tuesday and do everything for this business on a Tuesday and then turn around and do everything on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And what I did differently this time was, one, I sat back. I thought about this idea. Also, I realized I didn't answer your question about when I had this idea. So I had this idea in November of 2019 and I got the domain. I started researching trademark attorneys. I then got my social handles, all that good stuff. And then I literally went to vistaprint.com and got some designs up, created some little landing page. I printed some cards. And then I had this vision board party that I host every year. And I was like, you know what? This is where I'm going to debut this. And that's where I did it. And I sold cards that I literally had just ideated and had this little landing page from. And again, that goes back to rework. It's just, you just got to get it done. At any rate, fast forward, that was definitely one of the things that I felt really helped me with just getting that business started. But the thing that I did differently this time is now I had this idea in November. Then I kind of had proof of product in December. Then in January, I was like, okay, I'm going to get my legal ducks in a row and I get my trademark, which I got. Shout out to Nakia, love her. And then I sat back. I took myself on a 2-day staycation at a hotel, locally. And I just brainstormed. I didn't try to create the website overnight. I didn't try to create graphics overnight. I literally just sat there writing, in your wildest dreams, what does this business look like in the next year? And what does it look like in the next 2 to 5 years? So that's what I did. I watched movies, I drank wine, I had pizza, I had really crappy food. But it was great. It was a team outing, and the team is me at the time. And that's exactly what I did. So I paced myself and I continue to pace myself. So every week I have this thing called the hot list. I don't believe in to-do, because people have these to-do lists and they're 50 things. And it's do you logically, do you really think you're going to get through with 50 things? Come on. And do it well. You may be able to check 50 emails, which is a task in and of itself. Okay. But let's be real. Answering emails is not work. That's not where the magic lies. The magic lies behind the thing in the email, right? So that's the time that you got to carve out for. So I learned to pace myself. And so every week with my little hot list, I'm okay, what is it that I think is priority this week for Hustle and Hope? And I'm not going to lie to you. Some weeks I'm it's okay if we don't have a crazy amount of sales. That's not my goal this week. You know what my goal is this week? Pitch 3 retailers, finish my wholesale catalog, make sure my social strategy is looking good. Shout out to our social media manager, Vanessa. She's killing it. But yeah, I think that's the key. The key is to pace yourself and be okay with the fact that not everything is going to happen overnight. it's actually okay. And you want to know why it's okay? Why it's more okay to like not have everything perfect for your business than it is for some corporate job is because you create the rules. You are the master of this journey. And so you put the pressure on yourself or not put the pressure on yourself. And that's how I look at it. You're in control.
Pacing yourself. This aligns very much with what we discussed last week. How can you work more on your business and in your business? Taking the time to pause, strategize, and optimize is key for all businesses, whether full-time or part-time. And I appreciated how Ashley has found a way to do that while continuing her day job at the publishing company. Okay, but how do you balance your passion and your day job when you have multiple interests? Lesson 2, practice talking and celebrating all your interests out loud. Meet Corey Ponder in San Francisco. He is leading a strategic partnership focused on equity and well-being at Instagram. Previously, he has led policy advisors and data analysis to bring more inclusive and equitable perspectives at Facebook, Google, and W Fund, and also worked as a policy consultant at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the CIA. He also plays an active role as an advisor to many organizations such as Vanderbilt University, Paper Studios, Youth Speaks, and even at InnovatorsBox. Yes, we're fans of Corey too. On top of all of this, Corey is the founder of Impact Strategies, where he helps create safe spaces for others to learn about the power of empathy and allyship. He's even a musician too. So how does he balance all that he enjoys today? It started from a conversation he had with a mentor during his first career in government. Is it okay for us to like more than one industry and pursue a career in other fields? He learned the answer was yes.
Oh, man. So I would say my first career. So it was when I was still working in the federal government. I had been working at that point for 5 years. And I kind of hit a point after 5 years where I thought, I think there are so many other things that I can and want to do, having discovered what it means to be a professional and what I like and don't like about being in certain work environments. And also things that I just discovered, being around other people, other friends, moving to a new city, moving to DC for that particular job. And so I think at sixth and final year in the federal sector was me really weighing that, like, okay, am I the person that is this kind of career professional, or can I be all of these other things? I have this interest. How do I cultivate it outside of just the job? And so that's when I started really thinking about all of these other avenues or these other sectors, and that the plans is okay. Mom, the greatest advice, I'll just share this, that I received in that phase was from a mentor who talked about their experience in the military. When they were in high school, the only thing they wanted to be was a Marine, and they wanted to be like a certain level, like get a certain rank in the Marine Corps. And so they went straight in after high school, and they were like, by 21, they had accomplished their dream. And they were like, oh, wow, I somehow thought that my entire world was going to be pursuing this thing. And they realized that they had so much opportunity beyond just the plans that they set. And so when they said that, I thought, oh, maybe I accomplished the thing that I set out to accomplish, and that's okay. And now I can come up with some new plans.
So off Corey went, not only to pursue a career in tech policy, but now in equity and inclusion at tech companies. But as I shared a moment ago, his passion for making a difference did not end there.
I think 2021, I really want to delve deeper into my work in allyship. So there's been some work that I've been doing with a couple of partners in the space who I've worked with on other things to cultivate an actual curriculum around allyship so that we can actually start teaching that at scale with both individuals and organizations. So excited to work on that and hopefully get that to a place where we can launch it this year. And then I think the other thing is just as it relates to my other career work. So professionally, how can I incorporate creativity, buzzword, in more actively into the roles and the work that I am doing? And how can I incorporate more of myself into that work as well, knowing that I am really a people person and I enjoy really helping people and showing up for people. So how can I make sure that my job is a reflection of that?
Well, here's a gem insight, employers. If you let your people enjoy having their side hustle, they will bring that creativity to their day job too. I certainly felt that way as I was starting my company. I'd be ideating all night for InnovatorsBox and I'll come up with more ideas on my day job. I'd also do my work differently and more creatively. You might want to make a note of that next time you hear of your colleagues doing a side hustle. Though Corey enjoys wearing all these hats, he does wonder at times if it is okay to share some of what he does if they feel a bit too out of place. Example, his passion for music.
What makes me afraid? And when I ask that question of myself, I'm like, man, when it comes to, you mentioned my music earlier. I mean, one of the things that made me afraid was actually owning the fact that I was a creative, and that was something that some people knew about me, but it was not something that I actually talked about. So I said, well, how crazy would it be if I just started talking about it? Like I post about it, or I do something and then I share it. And so then that kind of, every time I hit a milestone, I'm like, okay, I shared a post. What if I actually publish this in the music store? And then eventually it built to me performing for like the first time or going to an open mic. And I thought, wow, I can't believe that a year ago, I wouldn't even have mentioned that I'm a creative, but now I'm actually going to open mics. So I think asking that question, what makes me afraid? And then saying like, okay, how can I step up to that and break that into small steps and just try to conquer each one? It has helped me.
Corey brings up a powerful message here. The work we do, whether full-time or part-time, influences how we show up and how we define who we are as a person. So when we get comfortable sharing our passions, whether as a part-time hustle or as a hobby openly, we not only get to bring a more fuller version of ourselves in everything we do, but also empower others through it. I was so happy Corey shared this insight, as I've certainly seen him more openly sharing about his music and work in the past year. And it's been a joy to witness his growth and behind-the-scenes moments.
Would you like to sing a small lyric?
Oh man, you put me on the spot. I can't remember any lyrics off the top of my head for this particular project. What I will say is that I'll talk about one of the songs that I really, it just kind of flowed out of me that did recently was called Melts Away. And so one of the things that song really was about was just this idea of we try to show up in the world in a certain way because we've been told to, or because we think it's going to get us what we want. For me, I wrote this song almost as like a conversation to my soul. So I was singing and writing to my soul, basically saying like, first, like, hey, I tried to do all of these things to protect you. I realized it wasn't actually protecting you, but shielding you from like your potential. And then finally, like apologizing to my soul for not listening to the things that my soul was trying to tell me about like my potential to do all of these other things once I'm in my flow. So that one was like really affirming in a lot of ways, because I feel like that's a journey that I had been on in 2019, but also in 2020.
Now, if you've been following our music at InnovatorsBox Studios, you know how much I love hearing Corey's answer on music. Music that tells a story, and that is a conversation. Being on a team who creates that kind of storytelling music, I loved that Corey was doing that and being more comfortable sharing that. You could hear not only the joy he feels creating music, but also how it has organically translated into all his work he does, including allyship, empathy training, and speaking projects. So as Ashley said, you can love both your day job and side hustle. And really, who says you need one side hustle? Another one can be a hobby like music, as Corey says, as a way to express yourself. But what about other projects that may be community building outside of your day job? You never know how one decision leads to another, and hence how your hobbies and side hustles help you open new doors for your day job career. Meet Shaun Applegate-Swanson in Austin, Texas. By day, he is the principal data scientist at Microsoft, and by weekend, he leads the community program Complexity Weekend with his co-founder Daniel Friedman and JP Gonzalez.
I'm Shaun Applegate-Swanson. I kind of have two lives that are starting to merge, thankfully. My day job, I'm a data scientist. I lead a data science team at a company that does security for data centers. And then I kind of moonlight with the Complexity Weekend community, helping to organize and just kind of create this really fun, interactive experience for people to learn complexity by doing.
Yes, You've heard me mention Complexity Weekend before in this, and at my other show at Dear Workplace, as I spoke with all three about their journey in which they brought together a global community who ideates on how to solve complex problems together. InnovatorsBox is also a partner, and I've enjoyed meeting a lot of people while facilitating Complexity Weekend, as they brought this whole program online during the pandemic. But one thing to note about Shaun that aligns with today's conversation is how much he truly loves both his day job and his weekend projects like Complexity Weekend. A father of two young ones and a data scientist geek, after pursuing his passion in mechanical engineering and physics at Carnegie Mellon University, he got his master's at Caltech, which led him to building his niche as a data scientist. One thing he learned in his journey was that no matter how much he loved science and engineering, he had various other interests that got him gearing away from a traditional career path in science with a PhD.
Kind of the career that I now have in data science was almost completely by accident. I was actually en route to get a PhD, which we'll definitely talk about. And I actually found that wasn't the path for me and kind of hopped off and started doing startups for a while. And actually, while I was doing startups and I kind of failed several startups, that kind of story, great learning experience, but I was ready to kind of move into a career that I could see as kind of my full career path. And I remember at the time I was doing startups in Las Vegas. And I was sitting there in my kind of startup house with all these other startup people. And I was like, you know what, like I really am interested in this data science field that's starting. And I remember just taking as many courses as I could and just messaging all these founders on AngelList until finally I got in contact with some that had some interesting data sets. And they actually accepted me in as the first data scientist without any prior experience. And they didn't really know what it was either. It was pretty early in the career. So I kind of stumbled into it and learned a lot on the job.
Yes, we would love to learn more.
Talking about like a science career, what it means to have a science career. And I think, there is the kind of traditional science career, which I guess would be, get a PhD, get a professorship. I don't know how much of that is a traditional thing now, and then kind of live that life and teach classes or whatnot. That was always my vision for myself when I was growing up. And it wasn't actually until I was at Caltech trying to get my PhD and I wasn't really enjoying the experience personally and ended up deciding to do startups and stuff that I actually jumped off of that path. And once I jumped off that path, it actually opened my eyes a little bit as to what is a science career really? Like what can you be doing as a science career? And I think I started getting it in my mind that I wanted to do science more in industry. I wanted to support research. I wanted to build communities that do research. And so I think that kind of became my personal, like how I want to have my career in science. And so it just became natural to, I have a 50-year vision for a particular field that is my most specific interest in science, which is the combination of complexity and thermostatistics or StatMech and thermodynamics. And I really want to support researchers in that community. What does it mean to do that then? So at some point, you'll see at some point, I'm going to have some sort of nonprofit or institute or something working on this. And what's it going to do? Well, maybe it'll be trying to secure funding somehow so it can give grants to researchers. Or maybe it will be creating some sort of forum for researchers to be able to interact and share their research. Or maybe it's a new type of publishing that isn't maybe so locked down that you can have peer review and you're not paying to get your paper published or any of that type of stuff. So there's lots of different avenues of how to support research and have a science career as like a supporter. I actually started with that vision for that particular field. And then I stepped back and said, well, this field is so specific, I can't get anyone to show up. So what can I do? Maybe that's a little bit broader. Okay, maybe I'll cut off the part that gets everyone to leave the room and just stick with complexity. And that's kind of, been the focus. And it's been awesome because now even my personal views on what was like complex thermostatistics or that field, it's totally changed now because of my exposure to all these other approaches to complexity. I mean, it was just an organizer first mentality, like a community organizer first mentality to a career in research was kind of the approach it took.
Agreed, Shaun. Agreed indeed. When we stay curious and open to exploring all possibilities, we may realize the dots we connect in our hobbies, expand our horizon and thinking, even in our day job. Shaun's diverse interest in data science, communities, startups, and complexity led him to building a unique niche that is both broad and specialized. It helps him bring a unique lens to the work he does both at Microsoft and at Complexity Weekend. As a team member who has both worked at startups and has an understanding of those challenges, he brings that perspective to his colleagues who have more of an academic background. This is why when I asked Shaun what advice he would share, he talked about taking more ownership in everything you do.
The advice that I would give would be to take ownership. And I always tell people this, even if you're at a large company or you're the sales manager at a particular firm or whatnot, like you should treat every job that you're at as if you're an entrepreneur at that job. And you are creating something within the broader context of that company, like a little mini company inside. And I give everyone this advice because I think that ownership is so important to defining the job you want to have over time, which is a huge factor in innovation, right? You're going to innovate if you actually are enjoying the work you're in or the space you're in. Yeah, just take ownership and try to create something you're proud of in any context you're in. It could be your own company or another company or independent contracting or whatever. Just focus on building that boundary around yourself and your work that you're really proud of, that's affecting the world in a way that you want, and pedal the metal.
Bring your entrepreneurial mindset to everything you do. Take ownership, responsibility, and the joy of being the protagonist. When we see everything from this lens, our work becomes not only more enjoyable, but more impactful as well. So friends, what's coming up for you today? Whether you are here to be inspired to start your side hustle or are learning how your colleagues do that, I hope this has inspired you and given you a new perspective. Yes, you may love your day job and part-time business. And yes, you may have more than one interest. And yes, you may be surprised at how staying curious could open your day job world even further. The key is you. You have the ownership and you can decide and create the life you want. The choice is yours. Thank you for joining us today. This is your host, Monica Kang at Curious Monica by InnovatorsBox. Thank you, Shaun, Corey, and Ashley for sharing your stories and your work. Be sure to check them out by clicking their names in our show notes. I know they'll be happy to hear from you too. Next week, I'm excited to talk to two friends you may have heard from occasionally at the end of our episodes. I'll be speaking with Siren and Luke from our InnovatorsBox studios, who will share more about their passion for music and how they fell in love with this field. Curious what it's like to create music? Bring your stories and questions next week for another episode of Curious Monica. Have a great day!
Hi, I'm Sam, an audio engineer at InnovatorsBox, and I hope you're enjoying Curious Monica. Creativity is something I've loved about all of my careers, whether it's been designing interactive games to help preschoolers learn through play, or by creatively fielding questions from high schoolers in Saturday morning detention. This show is brought together by our awesome podcast team: producer Sarah No, audio engineers Sam Lamert and Ravi Lad, website designer Akriti Pandey, graphic designer Monica Escobar, and Luke Helder on music. And of course, this show is hosted and directed by the curious woman herself, Monica Kang, founder and CEO of InnovatorsBox. To continue the curiosity and creativity of the workplace, visit us at innovatorsbox.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share. Would love to hear what you're curious about and what mysteries Monica can uncover in our next episodes. We'll see you next week.